while these plans exist, right, we often don't pay that much attention to them until a disaster happens, right? So it's one of those things where politically it can be difficult to commit money to something that you don't know is going to happen, right? So people like to see their roads being, paved. They like to see their sidewalks being plowed of snow. They like to see new buildings going up. But disaster planning is not necessarily something that politicians can, for the lack of a better word, sell to their constituents. At the same time, it's absolutely critical that you do spend time thinking about what all hazards really means and how to execute those plans effectively when a disaster actually does occur. Governor Whitmer has also been looking to external partners, right? So Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, other governors are communicating quite frequently actually about the sharing of resources. One of the things that I have been talking a lot about with other people who've interviewed me is the Emergency Manager Assistance Compact, which is actually, it's a compact that all 50 states belong to. And it's specifically there, the legislature basically, passed this so that states can create these consortiums of agreements. So these agreements can be for resource sharing, they can be for staff sharing if that's needed. And those were actually created way back in the early 90s because of hurricanes in Florida. In 2020, we have the internet. We have the ability to share information much more quickly than we did a century ago. And so I have been impressed with the amount of knowledge that is being shared openly and being shared across state and country borders. I think that's going to be the real big lesson that we've learned from this, is that going forward, emergency management should not be siloed as a state or a country specific issue. It really needs to be global, because emergencies don't think about national borders, right? They think about where the path of the disaster is going to be. And in a pandemic, the disaster is everywhere. So you really do need to have what's called an all hands on deck, all hazards sort of approach to utilizing all resources that you can to respond. When we talk about recovering from disasters, those things work well when collaboration networks are strong. And so the places that will be left out of recovery, the places that will be left out of responding to new cases as they increase, is going to be directly related to the amount of collaboration that those communities, those states, those countries were engaged in prior to and during this evolving disaster. Collaboration is really the key. When you don't have very clear direction, where you don't know who you should be contacting about the answer to your question, those are the things that take time, and time is the enemy of disaster planning, right? It's the enemy of disaster response. And so the stronger your networks are from the beginning, and the bolstering of those networks as you go through a natural disaster or any kind of disaster, is the most effective tool that I think people who research disasters and crises have noticed.